There is a brief moment in June when a perennial garden either gets prepared for the rest of summer or quietly begins to decline. It is not a full season. It is usually a narrow 2-week window before July heat starts pressing down on the beds. During that window, roots can still recover, mulch can still protect the soil, pests can still be stopped early, and tired plants can still be pushed into a second bloom. Once the first serious heat wave arrives, the garden changes its priorities. It stops building strength and starts spending energy just to survive. That is why the work done in late June decides what the garden looks like in August. Here are 9 tasks that matter most, each one tied to a specific perennial problem many gardeners recognize too late. Number 9. Refresh every perennial bed edge with a half-moon edger before grass takes back the border. A half-moon edger is one of the simplest tools in the garden, a flat semicircle of steel attached to a long handle. It cuts a clean vertical line between lawn and planting bed. That line may seem cosmetic, but it does more than make the garden look tidy. It slices through grass roots that have been creeping under mulch since spring and resets the shape of the bed before the lawn invades farther. Think about a shade bed under a maple tree. In April, the edge may look sharp. By late June, grass can creep 12 inches or more into the border. The hostas, heuchera, and bleeding heart may still be healthy, but the whole bed looks tired because the boundary has blurred. One careful pass with the edger changes the entire scene. Do it early in the morning while the soil is slightly damp. Push the blade straight down 2 to 3 inches, following the natural curve of the bed. Remove the loose strip of grass, then pull the mulch right up to the new cut. Keep the line soft and natural, not stiff or forced. That clean, dark edge works like a frame around a painting. The plants look brighter, the bed looks younger, and the whole garden appears cared for without adding a single new plant. Number 8. Switch to deep morning watering before July arrives. One of the most damaging habits in perennial gardening is light daily watering. It feels helpful because you are out there every day with the hose, but most of that water only wets the top layer of soil. Established perennials usually have roots several inches deeper. Some reach a foot or more below the surface. When water stays shallow, the deeper roots never get what they need. Even worse, plants can respond to frequent shallow watering by sending roots upward toward the wet surface. That makes them weaker when real summer heat arrives, because the hottest, driest part of the soil is exactly where those new roots are sitting. Garden phlox is the perfect example. It is beautiful, but it is also one of the classic victims of powdery mildew. If you water phlox in the evening with a sprinkler, the leaves may stay damp through the night. That gives fungal spores the cool, moist conditions they need to spread. By mid-July, the lower leaves often turn gray-white, and the plant begins to look exhausted. The better method is simple. Water deeply, less often, and early in the morning. Aim for about 1 inch of water per week, divided into 2 long soakings instead of 7 quick sprays. Water slowly at the base of the plant so moisture reaches the root zone rather than running across the surface. A simple test is to place an empty can in the watering area. When the can collects about 1 inch of water, the bed has received enough. Morning watering gives wet foliage time to dry during the day. Evening watering keeps leaves damp for hours, and that is when mildew, black spot, and other summer diseases get their chance. Number 7. Mulch every perennial bed before the first major heat wave, and add compost underneath if you have it. Mulch is not just decoration. In a perennial garden, it is a working layer that protects the soil from July heat. It slows evaporation, keeps the root zone cooler, reduces weed pressure, and helps the deep watering from number 8 last longer. A bare soil surface can heat up fast in summer. On a hot afternoon, the top few inches may become far warmer than the air around it. That matters because many perennials have active feeder roots close to the surface. When that layer dries out and overheats, the plant begins to struggle even if it looked strong in June. Heuchera is a perfect example. It is beautiful, colorful, and useful in shade or part shade, but it has a shallow root system. Without mulch, the soil around it can dry quickly and become too hot. The plant may wilt, fade, or suddenly decline in July. With compost under a thick mulch layer, the same heuchera has cooler soil, steadier moisture, and gentle nutrition through the rest of summer. The best approach is simple. Spread about 1 inch of finished compost around the perennial clumps first. Do not bury the crowns. Just work the compost lightly into the surface soil or leave it as a top dressing. Then cover the bed with about 4 inches of shredded bark, straw, or wood chip mulch. Keep mulch pulled back a couple of inches from the stems and crowns of each plant. Mulch piled directly against the crown can hold too much moisture and invite rot, slugs, or other pests. If you can buy mulch in bulk from a local yard, it is usually cheaper than buying bags from a chain store. Natural shredded hardwood or clean wood chips are often better than dyed mulch because they break down gradually and improve the soil over time. Beds protected with compost and mulch in late June are the beds that need less emergency watering in August. They do not just look tidier, they survive summer with far less stress. Number 6. Chelsea chop your fall blooming perennials now so they grow shorter, stronger, and fuller by September. The Chelsea chop is a pruning technique often used in English gardens, but many American gardeners still overlook it. The idea is simple. Cut back the soft new growth on selected fall blooming perennials by about 1/3 to 1/2 in late spring or early summer. The plant responds by branching below the cut. Instead of producing a few tall stems that flop later, it creates a denser plant with more flowering points. Tall sedum, especially autumn joy, shows the value clearly. Left alone, it can grow tall and heavy by September. Once the flower heads mature, the stems often lean outward, and the center opens like a broken umbrella. After one hard rain, the plant looks flattened and tired. When the same sedum is Chelsea chopped in June, it stays more compact. The stems branch lower. The flower heads are often smaller individually, but there are more of them. And the plant holds itself upright much better through autumn. Use bypass pruners and cut just above a healthy leaf node. Take off 1/3 of the growth for a lighter effect, or 1/2 if the plant usually gets too tall. This works well for tall sedum, asters, helenium, bee balm, Joe Pye weed, autumn anemone, and tall garden phlox where height is a problem. For 10 to 14 days, the plant may look too short. Do not panic. By mid-July, the regrowth becomes thicker. By September, the reward is a stronger, fuller plant that usually needs far less staking. Number 5. Inspect every perennial bed now before July heat turns small pest problems into big ones. June is the month when many garden problems are still small enough to control. A few aphids on the underside of a leaf, a tiny patch of mildew near the base of a stem, or early slug damage around the crown may not look serious yet. But heat changes everything. Once temperatures rise, insects reproduce faster, fungal diseases spread more easily, and a small problem can become a whole bed problem in less than 2 weeks. Catnip is a good example. It is tough, fragrant, and useful in the garden, but aphids love it. If you turn over a leaf in June and see a small colony, you can often solve it with a strong spray of water from the hose for several mornings in a row. That knocks the insects off before they multiply. Wait too long, and the leaves may become sticky. Ants may begin farming the aphids, and the plant may stop blooming well. Do your inspection early in the morning. Walk slowly through each bed and look under the leaves, not just at the top growth. Aphids, spider mites, and mildew often begin where gardeners do not look. Check the base of stems for ragged holes, because slugs usually feed at night and disappear into the mulch by morning. Remove badly damaged leaves, rinse off light pest colonies, and improve airflow around crowded plants. For fungal pressure, prevention matters more than rescue. Once mildew covers a plant, it is much harder to reverse. The goal is not to panic over every insect. The goal is to catch problems while they are still local, small, and easy to handle. Number 4. Divide perennial clumps that have stopped blooming as strongly as they used to. When a perennial has grown in the same spot for several years, the problem is often not the soil, the weather, or the variety. The problem is crowding. The root mass becomes packed so tightly that the older center of the clump begins to lose strength. The plant may still produce leaves, but the bloom becomes weaker each year. You can often see this pattern in daylilies, hostas, cone flowers, black-eyed Susans, bee balm, asters, and catmint. The outside of the clump still grows, while the center looks tired or hollow. That is the plant telling you it needs room. Stella d'Oro daylily is a classic example. A small nursery pot can become a dense clump of many crowns in just a few years. At first, it looks like success. Then the flowers become fewer, The leaves crowd together, and the plant loses the clean, strong bloom it once had. When you dig it up and separate the crowns, you may get 6, 8, or even 10 usable new plants from one tired clump. Water the plant deeply the day before dividing. A hydrated plant handles stress better. Then dig around the entire clump, lift it carefully, and shake or wash away enough soil to see the crown structure. Each division should have at least one healthy crown and a good section of roots attached. Replant the divisions immediately at the same depth they were growing before. Water deeply, mulch around them, and expect a little wilting for the first few days. New growth within 2 to 3 weeks is a strong sign the division worked. Division does 2 things at once. It restores bloom power to the original plant and gives you free new perennials. In a mature garden, one morning of dividing can easily replace hundreds of dollars in nursery purchases. Number 3. Stake tall perennials before the first heavy storm knocks them down. Many gardeners wait until a plant is already leaning before they think about support. By then, it is usually too late. Once tall stems have bent, cracked, or fallen into the mud, you can tie them back up, but they rarely look natural again. The plant spends the rest of the season looking rescued instead of strong. Peonies are the classic example. A healthy peony can produce huge, heavy blooms in early summer. They look magnificent on a dry morning. Then one hard June rain arrives. The flower heads absorb water, and the stems collapse outward. The whole plant can end up lying on the grass. The best support is installed before the plant needs it. Grow-through hoops or cages should go over peonies when the foliage is still young, ideally when the stems are only several inches tall. The plant grows up through the support, and by bloom time, the structure is hidden inside the foliage. If your peonies are already blooming, install support anyway. It may not look perfect, but it can prevent more damage and help the foliage stay upright after the flowers fade. Use the same idea for other tall perennials. Delphiniums need strong bamboo stakes and soft garden twine tied in a figure 8 so the stem is supported but not strangled. Tall phlox can support itself better when planted in groups, where the stems lean gently into each other. Support early, and the garden looks effortless. Support late, and it looks like repair work. Number 2, cut back certain perennials immediately after their first bloom to force a second flush. Many gardeners assume some perennials bloom once and then spend the rest of summer looking tired. In reality, several of them can bloom again if you cut them back at the right moment. The timing matters more than the force of the cut. You want to act as soon as the first flush is finished, before the plant wastes energy making seed. Salvia May Night is one of the best examples. In mid-spring, it sends up deep purple flower spikes that look clean and strong. By mid-June, those spikes are usually faded, brown, and ragged. If you only pinch off the tips, the plant stays messy. But if you cut the spent flower stems back hard, the plant redirects energy into fresh growth. Within 10 to 14 days, it starts looking alive again. 4 to 6 weeks later, a second round of bloom often appears. It may not be as tall as the first display, but it can be surprisingly full and colorful. The same method works on catmint. Shear the whole plant back by about half after the first bloom, water it well, and let it regrow. Hardy geraniums can also be cut back after flowering to produce clean new foliage and sometimes a lighter second bloom. Coreopsis can be trimmed by about 1/3 to extend the season. The rule is simple. Do not wait until the plant looks terrible. Cut as soon as the bloom cycle ends. Fresh timing creates fresh flowers. Number 1, deadhead the right way, not the fast way. This is the June task many gardeners think they are already doing, but they are only doing halfway. The usual habit is to pinch off the dead-looking flower head with your fingers and toss it away. The plant looks cleaner for a day, but that cut does not always tell the plant to make more flowers. For repeat blooming perennials, the better method is to follow the spent flower stem down to the next healthy pair of leaves. That is usually 2 to 4 inches below the old bloom. Cut just above that leaf node with clean garden snips. The plant responds by pushing side buds from that point, and those buds can become the next round of flowers. Coneflower proves the point. If you only remove the dry seed head, the stem remains bare and wasted. If you cut back to the next good leaves, the plant has a reason to branch. By late July or early August, you may get a smaller but brighter second flush. The same approach helps black-eyed Susans, garden phlox, salvia, and many other repeat bloomers. It takes a few extra seconds per stem, but it changes the whole summer display. So before July, heat closes the window. Remember the 9 jobs: sharpen the edge, water deeply, mulch heavily, Chelsea chop, scout for pests, divide crowded clumps, stake early, cut back after bloom, and deadhead correctly. Do those in June, and the garden does not just survive summer, it carries itself.